Deputy Brian Keith Tephford, Broward County, Florida Sheriff's Office. Born in New Jersey, Deputy Brian Tephford grew up loving cars and law enforcement. His dream was to become a police officer, and in March 2001, after graduating from the 144th Florida Department of Corrections Academy, Brian was sworn in as a Broward County Detention Deputy. He worked in the main jail for a while before transferring to the Department of Law Enforcement as a cadet. 2 years later, in April 2003, Brian's dream came true. He graduated from the 216th Academy and was sworn in as a law enforcement deputy sheriff in May 2003. On November 11, 2006, Brian was working a special detail in the city of Tamarack. He was killed while conducting a traffic stop. Deputy Brian Tephford was only 34 years old. During Brian's 6-year career with the sheriff's office, he made friends on every shift he worked. The Broward County Sheriff recalled that Brian was a very young and enthusiastic person, a person who showed a lot of interest. A lot of people cared a great deal about him. Brian's mother-in-law, Gwen, shared that her son-in-law always wanted to be a police officer. She remembered how Brian's face beamed after learning of his acceptance into the police academy. He was even more excited on the day he was finally sworn in as a law enforcement officer. Gwen went on to say that Brian was one of the most honest people she knew. Lying was not something he could do, and if he tried to tell a lie, he didn't do it very well. "You are a hero," she wrote on an online tribute site, "and I know in my heart you died doing exactly what you always wanted to do." Dedicated and hardworking, Brian was well respected by many of his colleagues while he served in the jail. He truly cared about the people he worked with and took special interest in those who were incarcerated. So much so that he was recognized by the sheriff for his outstanding service, commitment, and unwavering dedication to the mission of the Broward County Sheriff's Office. After saving an inmate from committing suicide, Brian was presented with the prestigious Life-Saving Award. In 2005, Brian's dedication to duty was once again recognized by the sheriff. He was named Deputy of the Month for his work in recovering several stolen cars, solving a number of vehicular burglaries, and reuniting stolen property with the rightful owners. Brian's sister-in-law, Jamie, characterized Brian as the brother I never had, noting that he was a big part of her life. "Our family will miss you," she said, "but I know you would want us to remember the happy times we shared." In Tamarack, the city where Brian lost his life, the city leaders wanted to do something special to honor the sacrifice Brian made. They decided to build a new park and name it Tephford Park. "Brian gave us the gift of life, and there are really not enough words to say thank you for that," said Mayor Beth Flansbaum Talabisco. "The city is saying thank you by commemorating his life with this park. He will forever be woven into the fabric of the history of the city of Tamarack." On the day Deputy Brian Tephford was laid to rest, the sheriff delivered the eulogy. He shared with the hundreds of mourners present, including sheriff's deputies and family members, that upon learning of her father's death, one of Brian's young daughters began drawing pictures and writing notes. She addressed the notes to Daddy and then tied them to balloons and released them into the skies above. The little girl said she hoped her father would see them in heaven. The sheriff told the crowd, "Brian was a good man. He was a caring friend and a loving father. He was an outstanding deputy sheriff. But most of all, Brian was a hero, not by how he died, but rather by how he lived." The same quote is inscribed on the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial, which bears his name. One of Brian's fellow deputies was heard to say, "Rest in peace, brother. We'll take it from here." Deputy Brian Keith Tephford is survived by his mother, Carol Aponte, and his 3 young children. This tribute, honoring Deputy Brian Keith Tephford, was made possible by the generosity of American Maritime Officers and American Maritime Officers Service.